Today, I want to talk about nutrition. One of the pillars of health. I made a video a little while ago about one of the pillars, talking about community. It was something that was on my mind, so I wanted to make that video. And I made a video yesterday about these brain stimulants, and I made a little reference to the pillars of health, and specifically in regard to nutrition. So I wanted to talk a little bit more specifically about what that means, get a little bit more detailed into the nutrition aspect of health overall. So right away, what should we prioritize? Again, this is my opinion, but this is also something that I see, and I'm going to explain why I have these opinions as I go. So nutrition, number one for me is energy balance. So what does that mean? That means how much. How much are you eating? Okay. How much food overall are you consuming? What's the energy balance that you're taking in versus expending? Depending on your goal, depending on your activity level, depending on what are you really doing with your life. So if I want to lose weight, my energy balance has to be in a deficit. I have to eat less or I have to expend, and we'll get into the exercise part about why you might not want to focus on the expenditure, but we want to make sure that we have an energy balance, meaning or a deficit when I want to lose weight, because if I'm consuming more, I'm going to gain. If I want to lose, I need to eat less. And understanding this balance is very crucial. So how much does your body need on a daily basis? How much? I think that's paramount to be number one, because if we go down to number two and we try to change your diet before you can try to figure out how much overall, sometimes it's too big of a step. So what I do with a lot of my clients is I don't even have them necessarily even get into an energy balance or get into a deficit first, especially if they've had a hard time. I just get them to track what they're eating. Just get aware of what their energy balance or imbalance is like. Start somewhere where you start to get more awareness about it. Now, if you're someone who likes to rip things off like a Band-Aid and you can jump into something and you can buy in, you have enough motivation, you have enough pain, you have enough leverage on yourself to be able to go right into the diet, and you can, completely change from eating McDonald's 3 times a day to eating salads and eating vegetables and eating fruits and eating whole foods, then hey, great. But what I've seen is that's very challenging because there's a lifestyle that goes along with it. And some people, they might have these goals of, hey, I want to lose weight, but they're not willing to sacrifice the lifestyle. So we have to try to meet people with where they're at and slowly make changes over time. And sometimes the goals change because they realize, hey, look, as much as I'd like a 6-pack, I like my 6-pack of beers more, or I like my cookies more. And I don't know how to reconcile those two. And until they're ready, I can't do it. As a trainer and as someone who helps people along, I can't do anything unless if they're willing to do something. I have the information, but they have to walk the steps. They have to do the practices. I can't just slap food out of their hand. If you want to pay me to do that, I will do that for a fee, but most people don't like that. So what I'm saying is, number one is how much overall. And I like to use an app called MyFitnessPal to find out how much food I'm consuming. It's an easy to use app. They're going to try to get you to buy things you don't need to use the basic calorie tracking app, and you can understand what's in your food. How many calories are in my food? If you accurately track it, you'll get an accurate understanding. And you also want to understand how many calories my body is burning on a daily basis. So you want to find out your resting metabolic rate or your basal metabolic rate, and you can find that balance. Or you can say, hey, I need to eat less than my metabolic rate to burn so that I can lose. I could also want to gain. So maybe it's, hey, I want to build muscle. All right. How much, right? How many pounds you want. If I'm 150 pounds and I want to get to 170, I might want to start eating in a positive just by a little bit and in a surplus. And I want to eat 170 grams or more of protein because I'm going to build. And that's one of the benchmarks. And that's what I've seen is you want to eat 1 gram per 1 pound of body weight so that you can build muscle to get to your goal. So those are some basic things in regard to the energy balance, how much overall. Then you step 2, the diet. It's what? What are you eating, right? What? Eat and also drink. It's also what you're not eating and drinking, okay? So it's also things, maybe I'm going to cut out alcohol. I'm not going to drink that. I'm not going to drink coffee. I'm not going to drink soda, right? I'm going to drink water. I'm going to drink tea. I'm going to drink fresh pressed juices or fresh juices. So your diet is going to be exactly what? And is that a specific diet itself? Is that a vegan diet? Is that a carnivore diet? Is that a keto diet? Is that a Mediterranean diet? Is that using something like the blood type diet, which I follow because I've found that that helps me understand a little bit more detailed about myself. And they've shown that certain blood types respond to certain, certain foods better. Now, again, these are just frameworks. I don't use it 100%, but they're frameworks to allow you to get more detail into you because there's genetic variation. And I think that's one of the things that comes into the diet. If you want to get even more specific with it, is everyone's genetics is different in regard to what they look like, where they're from, their past history. Their genetics might be either enhanced or debilitated by experiences in their life, sicknesses as a child or sicknesses as an adult, accidents, medications. There are certain medications that people have been on and they end up with side effects, and that sticks with them for the rest of their life. It damages certain organs in their body, and then that now affects how they process food. So there's so many different things that go into what you're eating and drinking, okay? And I would say experiment, try things out. What resonates with you? What do you believe in? If I tell you, hey, you're going to only eat plants for the rest of your life, but you, for whatever reason, have this idea that, no, I think maybe eggs and fish and chicken and turkey, I think that's actually healthier than that. Whatever, you just go with it. Buy into whatever. If you have some buy-in that helps you, and enjoy it. Now, you can use 100% of that diet, you can use 50% of the diet, you can use 20% of that diet. It doesn't necessarily matter. You can make it fit into your lifestyle. It's more challenging if you don't have an interest in it. So that's why I say use people around you. Hire a nutritionist. Hire someone, and if the first day they say you're only going to eat plants and you want to eat meat, maybe find a different one. Again, you have to find out what you can do and what you can do repeatedly over time, because I look at nutrition as a lifestyle. Like I said, the energy balance. If I want to gain weight, if I want to lose weight, well, then I get to a point where I'm maintaining. I want to maintain this lifestyle for my whole life. If it's something that I can't maintain because it's not something that I enjoy, or it's not something that I buy into, I don't really feel like it's that good. Now, if I'm getting good results, that will help me buy into something, right? If I eat like a certain way and I have no idea what I need to eat, and somebody tells me to eat, sawdust for 6 months, and I feel amazing, I'm on the sawdust diet, baby. That's what I'm doing. You see this with all sorts of diet. People, they're not a believer and they become a believer. They have certain things happen to them and then it gets reversed. So again, you might need experience. So maybe just try something, right? Try something. But if you have some buy-in, that helps, okay? And it allows you to stay motivated and allows you to stick with it. But again, even if I'm on a diet and I want to lose weight or gain weight, if I'm not following that energy balance, if I'm not eating enough to gain, I'm not going to gain. If I'm not eating, or if I'm eating too much, I'm going to gain, or I'm going to stay the same and I'm not going to lose. So we need to, again, number one, make sure that we have that energy balance. And it doesn't matter what diet that you're doing. They might all work for you. Some people have iron stomachs. They can eat anything and they can be fine. Some people, like myself, are more sensitive to certain things. And so I have to be very careful about what I eat. And it has to be more personalized to JD. I just can't follow one person's way of doing things. But I started there. I started with some things and I've experimented. I've tried so many different diets and I've found certain things that work for me. And I'm always experimenting. I like to experiment and find out because I want to optimize. And then we get into supplements, okay? Eating and drinking as well before we finish, drinking water, drinking this, drinking that. I think for the most part, we should just be drinking, good natural waters, all right? Or filtered water, maybe adding some sea salt in there to add some electrolytes and things like that. But for the most part, all right, a lot of the drinks, whether they're touted as healthy or not, are probably not healthy. So getting rid of a lot of the drinks, just eating water. And then what food? Any way you look at the diets, what I would say is whole food, real food. My adage is if it walks on the earth or if it grows from the earth, you're pretty safe. Now, some people might have some genetic variation. That's why I said you might need to find out, are you sensitive to nightshades? Are you sensitive to onions? Are you sensitive to dairy products? Are you sensitive to certain things? Real food, and then you get more specific. But if you're not eating real food, you're taking a chance. Again, you can still lose weight or gain weight or be somewhat healthy, right? Depending on your genetics, as long as you have a good energy balance. But I would say the next step would be eating real foods. Okay. Again, we can debate all day. Should you eat grains? Should you eat bread? Should you eat, bread's not really a real food. It's definitely manufactured. But how should we go about what foods are we eating? Should we eat? There's lots of debate on that. I don't want to even get into that. I want to think, eat real food, find something that might work for you, and let's go from there. And then supplements. Supplements are to fill in the gaps. They fill in, if that's an N, you might be able to see gaps. Okay. It's not necessarily for you, it's for me. But this fills in gaps. They're called supplements. They're not called replacements. Okay. So they're there to, if I'm eating a certain diet, like a vegan diet, let's just say, I might need a supplement with B12. There's not really any B12 in any of those plant products. If I'm in an energy deficit or if I'm in a calorie deficit because I want to lose weight, I might not be getting enough from my diet, even if I'm eating healthy food because I'm on this deficit. I'm eating 1,000 calories a day because I want to lose weight. Well, I might need a supplement to fill in some of those gaps for vitamins and minerals so that I can help myself. If I want to gain weight, okay, if I want to build, what are some supplements that I can take to help me along that way? Okay, especially now because even if I eat real foods, a lot of times the way that we've destroyed the soil and we've done this factory farming thing where we've destroyed kind of the processes, we don't get as much vitamins and minerals out of our food anymore. So you might need to supplement. And some people, their genetics dictate, or their genetics are saying, hey, we are much more deficient in certain things than other things. Some people, they have a good balance. Other people, they're really low and some people have too much. Some people have too much iron. I was just talking to someone the other day. They have too much iron and they donate blood all the time. So everyone has a little bit different. So supplements, okay? Using supplements, and there's so many different types of supplements, so many different brands. It's a huge industry. It's not regulated. It's hard to know and hard to find. That's why I would say go to a nutritionist. They're going to be able to do the hard work for you and find out what's good and what's not. So supplements, again, are supplemental. They're not replacing. They're there to fill in the gaps on things if you have some sort of gap. So this is just a basic overview of nutrition, one of the pillars of health. I think it's paramount. Today, you are what you eat. I probably should have led with that, but you are what you eat. It's cliche, but it's true. If you're putting in garbage in, garbage out. We want to try to give ourselves as high quality of fuel as we can. And that's why I say, if it walks on the earth or it eats, or if it grows from the earth, that's pretty safe. You want to eat real whole foods. You want to drink water, all right? Maybe some herbal teas that are from, plants and herbs and things from the earth. But all of these products, no matter how healthy it sounds, I don't think that in the long term, they're going to be necessarily healthy. Unless like I said, if they're filling in the gaps, there's a lot of these supplements now with these electrolytes. If you're lacking in electrolytes, or if you're someone who's sweating out a lot, again, what's your lifestyle? What's your energy balance like? What do you do for a living? What's your energy like, right? Like how much do you have to use on a daily basis? How much are you sweating? You might need to fill it back in. So some of these things are good, right? But for the most part, I would say no. Most supplements, I would say no. I would say, what do you really need? And that's going to be dictated by your diet, your energy balance, your genetics, lots of other things that go along with it. So just a little intro onto that. Maybe we'll get more detailed. Maybe I'll just talk about other things because I like to talk. So that's what we do on this channel. But I might add some more and go through the other pillars of health. I definitely am going to go through those other pillars. I might do that this week. We'll see what we got in store. So anyways, that's it for today. Until next time, I'll see you then.